Chase Lehocky here at the Blue Futon. Out of the theaters, I could finally see Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. It came out in the very beginning of August, but after a 2-week slow rollout, it being in 2,000 screens, I could finally watch this movie. Was it worth it? Is it a A24 masterpiece? Let's find out. Because Men was not a good A24 film. So Bodies, what's it about? It's a very simple premise. You have these Gen Zs or millennials in a very, very big house doing a hurricane party. What's a hurricane party? Well, little do you know, a hurricane's coming, and apparently what teenagers and 20-year-olds do now is get drunk and do drugs while there's a hurricane. Who knew there was such a thing? Anyway, there's a game called Bodies, 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 where whoever pulls an X, taps someone, and they are dead, and you gotta figure out who the killer is. So think a bit of a updated Clue, but people actually do die. Who's the killers? Is this dialogue witty enough to be a good film? So, did I like this movie? I have a very, very mixed bag with this movie. Because I understand what it is trying to do with the dialogue, but it's still some of these characters, it just reeks with you. And I think that's the whole point of the whole first world problems and millennial culture of being culture about the me bullshit and how everything's about them about, oh, I'm always the victim, I'm always a privileged, you're an ally, and everything like that of like what's high class, what's upper middle class, with victimhood and everything like that. So with that, I will give the negative of the movies first. And like I said from the beginning, I just don't like the characters. I understand you're not supposed to like a lot of these characters. A lot of them are just... I think I have a ghost in the house. Luckily, I don't have killers. I don't have millennial killers in this house. So let's continue on and just rewind a little bit and talk about the negatives. So the negatives are the characters. Yes, I understand you're not supposed to like the characters, and most of them you do not like just because they're millennials or Gen Zers. They're always, pity party bullshit type of characters. And I think that movie does good in making fun of the millennials and stuff like that. And I don't think a lot of millennials would be happy about it because a lot of people like playing the victimhood today's day and age, and this movie does show it, and how the gaslighting word and white supremacy and stuff like that is just full blown, and no one really knows the meaning. And if you just disagree with someone, that's the first words you say. And I do enjoy that smart, witty dialogue of like taking Twitter on its head and saying, no, be careful what you wish for, and be careful what verbiage you actually use, because do you really know what the verbiage is? Even though I'm talking about the negatives, I think the dialogue and characters are complete positive and negative of the story. I think this whole movie, you could have a negative of the movie, but it could also lead to a positive. So this is a very hard movie to review because of like that. You could say nothing is really horrible in this movie and nothing is really like fantastic, except I do think the ending is very witty and very like in your face, because it's like, I think the whole point of this movie is me culture. Me, it's all about me, but is it really about me if I step back a little bit and just say, wait a minute, what does 1 + 1 equal? It equals 2, but when I put all these division factors and multiplication and just emotions and facts in this, and I do think it's funny, there's a line in this movie called, feelings are facts, and one girl's like, no, facts are facts, and I kind of laughed at that scene because I'm like, yes, all this feelings is facts is complete bullshit with this world. And also, are all girls lesbians? Because this movie felt like either girls are lesbians or bisexuals, and they're never straight. So I'm just really curious on that level of talking about this movie on, just on that spectrum of everything. So I'm like, oh, either every girl in this movie has been dating another girl in the group, or dating another guy in the group. So it feels like a huge orgy group, and it really did feel a little bit awkward, except for Greg. Greg was probably the only normal one in this film. So Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. This might be the worst review I've ever talked about, because the directing's good. The story is actually witty enough to be entertained. The cinematography is good. The acting's good. Everything in this movie has a positive to it, but then other stuff's a negative to it, and the negatives are more of my personal aspects of life of just being like, shut the fuck up. You're not the victim. you have it really, really good. You don't know what bad is, and I think that's the whole point of this movie, of these rich kids thinking they have it bad in the world. I don't know if all of them really think that, though, when I'm talking about it. So, like I said, this could be a really, really shit review of me just talking about the movie. But I do think Bodies, Bodies, Bodies is worth it, even though it's a little bit far-fetched. It's a little bit odd. However, I do think it's a good message of, you know what? What if it's really something we blew out of proportion that does not need to be? And that is the Twitter world. That is the social media world. That is the mainstream media world of, like, you seen one thing and you're just fucking having a timeline of, like, you know, Charlie Day strings. But even though you have all these Charlie Day strings everywhere, it could be as simple as 1 + 1 equaling 2. So Bodies, Bodies, Bodies will receive a 3.5 out of 5 Futons, which equals that 70%. So see the critics' news scores gave this one. So you have critics at 88% with this one, with 164 of them. Audience score is 71% with over 250. Here's critic consensus. Impeccably cast and smartly written, Bodies, Bodies, Bodies is a uncommonly well done whodunit. Yeah, I have to agree. I think the ending was really good. That's the best part of the movie, in my opinion. So 70, 71, 88. Chase Talk with the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think is Booftopia. You Booftonians, thanks for watching. Have a great day. And no, this ain't no Candyman, Candyman, Candyman. It's Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. I'm not in the mirror, so I'm okay with saying that.